Ji Assalamu alaikum students, how are you? During this meeting, I'm going to discuss with you chapter number 1. This chapter number 1 is from Managing and Organization, the book. So let me share slides with you. Okay, these are the learning objectives of this chapter, which are introduction. During introduction, I'm going to discuss with you the paradigms, and then we will discuss about the changing paradigm, organization and technological changes in service and production, and shifting location and going global, and then time and space, and changing demographic and values, and how does it create an impact. So after completing this topic, you will be able to appreciate the current context in which the managing an organization occurs, and identify the impact that changes in the contemporary world are having on managing. And this chapter will also provide a main theme which we are going to cover in this book. Okay, first of all, we are going to discuss about this word paradigm, and sometimes we refer to the different kind of the paradigm when discussing some approaches to some practices. Actually, this term is derived from the sciences, and that basically different paradigms and different models of analysis have been identified at the different periods of a time. Paradigm is like a model, and this model has been also been applied in the field of the management. And when we talk about the academic paradigm, that's a way of theorizing about an activity such as physics. And so in the business, there being a different paradigm apply to the spheres of the business practices such as business management. For something to be accepted as a paradigm, it must be accepted as an ideal, as an example and exemplar. Okay, like something that shows something that how to practice. So there is an element of fashion in the management paradigm. Some things are in the management paradigm, and sometimes they are going to be out from the fashion. So if we talk about the definition of the paradigm is a coherent set of assumptions, concepts, values, and practices that constitutes a way of viewing reality. So viewing reality for that community which share them, and especially in the academic discipline, that means a single dominant or the normal paradigm in which the views are widely shared as a result of training and induction into the methods of that discipline. That means that there are certain kind of the way of seeing the reality in that particular discipline, and if they have a dominant paradigm, dominant way of seeing the reality in that particular discipline, then we call the mature discipline. Whereas the less developed disciplines are characterized by the plurality of the paradigm. That means the people have a different kind of the opinions regarding those academic disciplines, because there is a lack of shared agreement on what the discipline entails, and these kind of disciplines are the less mature disciplines. So this is a paradigm. Let's talk about the changing paradigms. And first, we are going to talk about the organizational and the technological changes. As you know, there is a shift in the world regarding the digital capabilities, and the elements of the many organizations have moved in the offshore capacity. And especially under this pandemic, you have seen that the organization way of seeing the reality and way of doing the business has also been changed. So there are many activities of organization where they are outsourcing their activity. There is the one outsourcing activity which is also offshore activity, if that activity is moving outside of the country. When we use the word, the digital capabilities are transforming the world, and it brings with it and accelerates new economies, new industries, and new practices. And what do we mean by outsourcing? Outsourcing means when an organization decide to contract a service provider who specialize in a particular area of service provision to do more economically and efficiently something that it previously did itself, like clearing, catering, cleaning, maintenance, IT, HR. So there are many functions where the organizations are outsourcing their activity. For example, if the company has a offshore um, call center for their consumer products in Lahore or in Delhi or in Bangladesh, and the company is basically operating their function in the US or UK. This is the one kind of the offshoring outsource activity. Okay, Ji. So this is about the outsourcing, and so there are many industries who have been developed in due to these technological advancement, and which we find many global companies like Google, IBM, Microsoft, Dell, or we find that in these organizations they have a different kind of a challenges of managing and organizing. So, and we can also we have witnessed that how the rapid development of China and the growth of the global business exploit the opportunities of the internet and taking advantage of the different kind of the time zones and having their operations in the different kind of the countries. So this world is basically sped up to the state of immediacy. Immediacy means that kind of a technological advancement which bring up the world into the new kind of a terrain. Now the managing the technological changes, how can we manage these technological changes? There are different organization and technological changes and the shorter life cycles and the virtual connectivity and disaggregation spell many changes in way of managing. So one dominant way is to separate the routine work from the essential work, or which you normally find in the division of the labor. And like in the call center, there is the routine work and the scripted work which you are going to perform in the call center. And this kind of a separation have been discussed earlier in the 19th century, 20th century by F.W. Taylor, scientific manager, where the managers are thinking about how that things are going to be performed, and there are workers who are performing that particular kind of the work. Okay, so there are certain there are consequences of this kind of the division. There are certain kind of a routine in the activity of the people who are doing this kind of the work, and managing will mean a more developmental work oriented to staff capabilities and the capacity that what kind of the work staff can do. And managing will mean negotiating the use of understanding of new technologies and contexts and capabilities, and facilitate those people who are performing these kind of the functions. If we look managing technological changes, traditionally organizations were neither very responsible nor flexible because of their bureaucratic nature. That means they have a hierarchical structures and they have a permanent nature of a departmental function of the departments, and there are many rules, and such organization offered very little incentive for the innovation and the creativity, and sometimes some people actually see that the innovation is against the rules, and such organization hardly responsible to the anything new. So more responsive organization should have employees who are capable of problem solving rather than having to refer to the higher authority. Such people need to be trained and engaged in styles of managing and being managed that reinforce empowerment, and they have a far more positive and the negative approaches towards solving the problems. And new technologies attach a premium to a flexible and timely approach to customer requirement. That means that how employees are responsive to the requirements of the customers. If the customers are putting up the different kind of the requirements, then how they are going to respond that requirements. And there are different kind of strategies which the countries have adopted in Europe, like deregulation, like privatization, and these are significant organizational changes, and which also change the nature of the public sector work as well. And now you have seen in your own case as well, like technological changes in NADRA, technological changes in passport office, and many organizations, many public organizations are also changing to meet the needs of the consumer and the trader. And something known as a new public management, and this has a profound impact on the public sector, on the public service, in education, in the universities, in the healthcare especially. And that means that new public management is a term which has been used to bring more entrepreneurial managers in the organization and less rule following. Um, whether this is a good or bad thing, this is a subject of debate. Okay. Now changes in the service and the production. See, you look at your computer, you look at your clothes, what about your shoes? Where do these things come from? And these things have been made in the different kind of the countries. Now we have seen that many things which we are using are coming from China, especially in our case, where China uh, is joining hand with the Pakistan government and constructing that CPAC, constructing that China-Pakistan economic corridor. And so this is kind of a label which we find very common, made in China. And so this is the one way through which the services and the productions are changing in our country. And one impact of these kind of a thing that in the West, they are more on the developmental of the ideas, and the more manufacturing and the production facilities are shifting towards the China. That's why you have seen plants of a big mobile companies in China as well. Okay, G. So this is the kind of a one division of the nature of the work where the kind of the jobs in developed world are more service oriented, and the kind of the job in the developing world are more manufacturing oriented and these kind of things. So that means the West, aside from Germany, has gone from production to the service economy. That's what I talk about. And rapid changes in the nature of the work around the world. So that's the kind of one kind of division between the developed and the developing country, except in case of Germany. Now, another shifting location and global knowledge. So increase in the knowledge intensive work means that organizations have to employ and manage different kind of the employees. So it's more about the mental capabilities of the managers rather than the manual labor work in this service economy and in this knowledge economy. And employees need to be capable of working with the sophisticated databases, software, knowledge management system, or this all things have been related to the needs of the consumer and needs of the requirements of the customer. So this kind of a relational and the technical skill is kind of a the skills required by the people to deal with this kind of a technical and the relation skill is a need of an hour. Okay. So digital technologies and a growing international division of labor between economies specialized on services and production make the world economy increasingly globalized. So this is the one way through which the all countries are integrating with each other and communicating with each other and connecting with each other. And knowledge intensive work, according to Elvison research, depends on much subtle tacit knowledge as well as explicit mastery. That means employees, it's not only about that following their job description and following their the rules and regulation of the company, but employees need to be very skillful and capable to work in this kind of economy, especially when the employee is involved in the design and other form of the creative work on the team basis, and sometime in the organizational projects. So in such situation, because there is a high degree of interdependence between the employees, so they require certain kind of a skill set through which they can perform in these digital technologies. The competition is based less on the traditional comparative advantage as a result of what economists call factor endowments, such as being close to the raw material, and more on comparative advantage that arise from innovation and enterprise. Okay, so that means that the companies initially that those factors of the production is economists call the factor endowments, such as being close to the raw material, and that brings the competitive advantage. But now, due to these technologies, the competitive advantage is coming from innovation, coming from technology, coming from these expertise regarding these technologies and innovation. So the traditional factors of the production, which are about the raw material, which is about the labor, and now the more competition is about the innovation, is about the knowledge, is about the management of these digital technologies. Okay. So this is about managing globally, and another thing about the managing globally that work groups working in different in a serial or parallel with each other on the different projects, because once you outsource your work into the different countries, so different teams are working on the same project. So global organization means managing diversity. It means developing appropriate ways of managing people who may be different from each other, different nationalities, different ethnic background, religious background, age, cohort, educational achievement level, social status, and gender background. So one consequences of the globalization is that HRM become much global in that regard. So now changing paradigms under the changes in time and space. What are the changing conceptions of time and space? And so due to the advent of, due to the technological developments in the internet and other telecommunications seem to make the whole world something more present and here and now, and you can connect with each other. You can find even the place with the Google Earth, and so they may have, and you can have an access of communication. So you can have a, actually now you can have a technology through which you can communicate with the different people who are residing at the different places in the world. Okay. Actually, time and space are two fundamental coordinates through which we relate to the world. The ways in which we make these representations are not fundamental but socially constructed. What do we mean by socially constructed means here? Like you can see earlier studies of the Frederick W. Taylor, where he has studied about the time and the motion studies. And in these studies, the central motive was the time-space relations. And stopwatches were measured in terms of microsecond to prescribe way of doing the things. And space was rigidly defined the speed of the work. Or these notions of space and time as a phenomena under strict organization control are hardly relevant in the age of the internet, where they have a computer and the camera and the broadband connection. And so any member of the organization can have an immediate contact with any other member in the world. So in such a way, the concept of the time and space is becoming global and has been risen to the different level. And organization become more global, and the organization can navigate anywhere. Even if you want to see about my profile, you can find out my email address just by Googling my profile. Google up, yeah, Googling, I know what terminology would you like to use. Okay. But that kind of a immediacy, that kind of accessibility presents certain kind of a problem as well. and work is much more accountable and transparent others, and because you can be online anywhere and your work has been observed anywhere. So so this kind of understanding also depend upon different kind of the cultural and the lingual and the age and gender context. And so there is a need of the greater cultural sensitivity, that how we can handle these kind of global businesses in this kind of a context. Okay. So in this kind of a sense, the managers are making a sense of the situation under different kind of a context and working with a different kind of the people. Okay. Now changes time and space, now changing demographic and value. And if you look into our many demographic changes pose challenges and opportunities on the management. Like in our case, this is a very young generation. So young generation has its own requirements, it has its own needs, and that need to be met if the organization want to survive and thrive in this kind of a context. Similarly, the changes of the generation, how the older generation look into the things, how the new generation look into the things, and what are the differences in the way of seeing their things. This is another way through which the organization can see. And then value changes. The employment of this generation has a different values. If you, the book has discussed about the generation X and generation Y, which are in the context of the US. So in our context, if you see, there are certain kind of the value changes where you have seen a lot of materialism in the present society, and this kind of the value preferences and the changes have been affected by the global changes in the values of the people. Okay, Ji. Then I will changing conception of theory and practice. One thing sometimes some people discuss about that there is a gap between the theory and the practice, and academics actually do the research, and that's what define them academics. In the past, they worked in a different kind of a circle, which are like self-referencing, that they know each other and it was successful. And sometimes they published a book and published some papers. And if they were really successful, so other would read them and cite them in their research. But times are changing. Academic researchers in all fields are increasingly expected not just to produce outputs in the form of the books, in the form of the papers, but also have an impact. And what do we actually mean by an impact? So impact is usually defined in terms of having a positive effect on a specific sphere of practice, which is beyond academic. And that means that what kind of a contribution